All right,
Is
you
my
guys.
volume okay for you
Welcome
guys?
to A&M Political Views. We thank you guys for coming on. We really appreciate it. I am super excited for this tonight. So today, you guys, we have two special guests, Ursula Harris and Marcus Collins, and they will be discussing social equity. So I'm going to turn it on to Mr. Aviance Watts.
Okay, now for those who are not aware of what social equity really is, can you explain to those who are not aware of what it really means?
Yeah, I'll start off with social equity is actually it was put in the state law. So when we voted for Prompt One, which was the legalization of recreation marijuana,
Mm-hmm.
they put it in our taxation law that anybody that does business in recreation marijuana had to create a narrative for social equity applicants. So social equity are people that was in selected areas, which were, for example, like the Muskegon Heights and Muskegon. If you can prove that you lived in those areas in the last 5 years, you would be able to get 25%. So that 25% can be used towards license fees. But now also they are go also be used for other things like putting money down on a house or starting a business.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you have a marijuana conviction, you get additional 25% off. So now that turns it to 50%.
Whoa.
If you have a felony, it's an actual 40%, so it'd be 65. And if you've been a licensed caregiver in the state of Michigan for the last 2 years, you get 10%. So your fees can add up to be 75% off. So that can be used towards your license to get into business.
Yeah.
To give you an example of what those fees are as far as the license, your application fee is $6,000. So they up there.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they did is the state just wanted to create something to help the disenfortunate people that was in that area that was affected by the prohibition, and they calling it prohibition against marijuana.
Okay.
Right.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
Now.
I think, yeah, and just if I could expand a little bit on that, like,
Mhm.
social equity in its entirety is supposed to be a reparation. And
Exactly.
that is what it's called. It's a reparation. And so when we think about
I like that. I
reparations, we
like
think
that.
about, oh, that's for me. That's for us. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? You and me.
Yes.
Okay. But when you get down to the granular level, the state says this is what it is, but when you get to the local municipalities,
Mhm.
such as Muskegon Heights has shown us, they're like, we, we don't hear anything, we don't see anything. And to me, if you are in an area that is disproportionately affected and impacted by this prohibition on marijuana from the 80s on up, if you have been impacted, and who hasn't in the Black community? Because if your husband was impacted, you were
Yes.
impacted. If your father was impacted, you were impacted. Your brothers,
Yes.
and it was systematically put in place
Mm-hmm.
to break up the family.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at reparations, I look at reparations as a means of repairing the damage you've done.
Root word.
Monetarily.
Repair.
Repair, right. So you're repairing. And so when we take a more granular look at the local municipality, we see that unless we have an audit in place at the state level to kind of filter down to the local level, we're going to find more and more municipalities overlooking social equity, because big money to in an impoverished community is almost it's almost like a setup, because
Yes.
they end up taking the bait. And the community ends up losing out because the leaders in charge seek their own wealth
Mm-hmm.
and not the wealth of the community or the improvement of our community. That's where I have a problem. So when I further social equity, I know preach, but when I further social equity, I really want people to understand that it is not social justice, it's social equity. That means there is value there and it needs to be distributed to
Okay.
the intended, to whom it was intended.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
that in a whole is social equity. You know, Marcus kind of gave you um, a deeper look at it, but if you look at it as a whole, you'll see that it's a bucket, it's a program, and it's funding. So it's a program with funding, but the local municipalities have to buy into it in order for it to work. So I just wanted to get that out there. It's everywhere. It's just not being utilized.
Now, where do you see it? Okay, like let's just use for an example Muskegon Heights. Where do you see it benefiting like Muskegon Heights within like the next 4 or 5 years? Or how do you see it
Well,
impacting Muskegon Heights?
I think it can impact Muskegon Heights in a multitude of ways. Economically, I mean,
Yes.
I would assume that by bringing businesses into the area, the revenue and the taxes made from those new businesses will generate an I guess an advancement for the community financially. I know that they're in debt. So I assume their motive is to get out of that debt. But it should help homeowners um, uh, renovate their homes. It should help individuals that have been incarcerated, charged with a felony, charged with a misdemeanor. Because we
Yeah.
also know that when women test positive for marijuana, they lose their children. So they haven't got to that point of handling that situation yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I see it as a social advancement for members in the community to start to move towards making generational wealth.
Absolutely. I totally
So
agree.
that's what
Absolutely.
I see for Muskegon Heights.
Okay. Like what ways are you guys trying to, I guess educate people? Like how are you getting the word out? For
Well,
people
first,
who really are not aware of it, because there's a lot of people who really are not ain't really aware what social equity is. Because I'm just learning it now. I mean, recently myself. And like, what steps like are you guys taking to kind of get it out there and educate people on what social equity is?
well, what me and Ursula actually wanted to do, we wanted to, a couple years, well, a year ago, I sat down with the mayor, with his Walter Watts. I know him, personally. Also with Troy, I talked with him. I talked with him earlier last year about setting up a workshop. So
Mm-hmm.
first of all, they was telling me that they was gonna bring somebody from out of town to educate them, far as from another city that knew about social equity, what happens in another city, but it looks totally different in each city. Each state has their own social equity.
Right.
So we was trying to put together a workshop, and I was knocking on the door, asking them, "What's up? What's going on? How could y'all help me?" And nobody said anything. So I have all the information. I mean, it's easy. It's a lot of people here. Look, this is how it should have happened. If you ask me what they should have done before they even opt in, they should have did a workshop to let our people know how they could have actually benefit from this new industry coming into the community. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if they would have knew, it's a lot of business owners that might have felt that they could get in it if they knew that they would have had that head start through
Yeah.
social equity. If they knew they would have got all those cuts and breaks, because the first thing everybody thinking is that it's too expensive to get in. But
Yes.
social equity was put in
Yeah.
place. Social equity was
It is.
for to help us. And guess what else they do at the state level? Me and Ursula talk with the state every week. They help you fill out the application. They walk you through the process, and you can talk. They answer their phone. Now I
Okay,
can
so
get
what
the
was the
state of
hold up
Michigan.
with that? What was the hold up? I mean,
yes, they answered their phone.
Man,
Just keep it real.
Just keep it real. What was the holdup? If you don't mind me asking, you don't have to answer if you don't want, but you're more than welcome.
Well,
the holdup is with the city. They give you the city of Muskegon Heights. First of all, they didn't get the information out to the people. They didn't know
at all.
They didn't know
at all. And that is a way if you block communication, no marketing, no advertisements, no flyers, no anything. If you block communication, then their goal was to limit that communication, because those applications were meant for those they were intended for.
Right.
Those that already had the big pockets, those that had money, those that could do side deals, those that could put money in the pocket. You know how it goes.
So in other words,
so we didn't do that. Okay, we didn't have the money to slip in anybody's pocket, so we had to, follow the process.
Well, and then they didn't do, like, it's crazy how this worked, because the state did everything to help us, but the city didn't do nothing.
Wow.
But the city did make it look like they were working with us. They sent us down this road while they were going down that road. They opened up the application process for the big pockets way before they opened it up to the community. The application they gave us was an extremely sophisticated application that absolutely should have been done by a legal team. So you're already out the bat talking about retainer fees, et cetera, just to get started. And then you look at the application. So when they came out with the application, I believe it was November 10th, Marcus. I think for us common people, it was November 10th. By then, many people had their applications already in, and they had already made up their minds who they were choosing. So we went through the process. It was a very mundane process. As a business analyst, I was able to create the document in about a month's time, but it was extremely convoluted. And in that process, they gave Marcus a hard time about his building, put a tag on the building, do not enter. I mean, everything to absolutely sabotage him. And then said, but go ahead and apply. Go ahead.
So what was wrong with the building? What did they say was wrong with the building?
Well, go ahead, Marcus.
The building was condemned and they never been in it. So, we tried to hunt him down and ask questions, called the inspector. We found out that he had hip surgery, but don't you have somebody else that you can call and contact you back? But they have so many problems with calling you back. I can call the state and ask the state anything about this industry, or they helping me. The state asking me, what is your city's doing for social equity? Are they helping you? Yeah. The state walk us down. We still got to go through a application process with the state. They sit down with you and actually walk you through the process. The city, they just put it out there. They didn't even give the.
So do you think they just put it out there with the intent on a lot of people, a lot of the community people not knowing the process, so they don't have to worry about even looking at their applications?
Well, I mean, Marcus and I are not incompetent. We had the application and we thought we had the process pretty down pat, especially when we were able to call the city manager on his cell phone and get advice and, seek, Mr. Bell made himself available several times to communicate with us that he wanted to work with us on getting a training or a workshop on social equity, because that was the big thing and they wanted to be the first. And Marcus had said that they had a building that they had designated for that, that they would help him with. And then when I asked about it, he said, well, yeah, you know, that I know that building, it's on Jarman or whatever, and it's in the projects. And he said, but you know,
Wait a
it's gonna
minute.
take
I'm sorry.
months to get it.
It was
Huh?
a building on Jarman in the projects.
Yeah, you know that old that one facility
Like a group home.
that they had. It's been closed for a minute, but it was for women that got out of prison.
Yeah, like a halfway
Mhm.
house.
A halfway house, that's what you call it. Yeah, that one right there.
Okay.
And so, but it's with Land Bank. So, so he was telling me it would take about 4 months to get that approved by the committee. And I said, well, it take me about 30 days to get it approved by Land Bank. Why would I have to wait for the committee? You need to catch up. And then he said that, well, you know, we can lease it to you. Oh, well, now wait a minute. Now that's not part of my budget. And when you say you're going to donate or help or assist, that doesn't mean that you're going to affect my bottom line every month. I don't want to lease a building that I could just go and buy in a month from Land Bank, but that would not be the building. I don't think that would be the choice where I'd want the building to be. So, yeah, that's the kind of help and assistance we got. But once we got to the day of the deadline, they sent a set of partners to us to try to help us. I think they were supposed to help us with the process. And, you know, the day that we turned in our application, conveniently, they were closed. It was a Thursday. And due to Corona, you know, the office had been closed. So no, that wasn't put on the application. And then at the same time, while we're over there breaking our necks trying to get the, you know, the every aspect of the application, because then you had to have a 3-hole punch and color coded, and you needed a binder and everything, right? So it was very mundane. And while we're doing that, the partners are calling and talking to Troy, and we're having a discrepancy on how much the application was. It was $20,000 for some and $5,000 for others. So that's, you know, I said, wait a minute, how is it? Wait a minute. When was it $20,000? Oh, well, it's been $20,000. I said, okay, well, on the application, it doesn't even have a price. Well, when they went and looked at the application, online, they showed that they had revised it 5 days after they gave it out.
I think,
and that's when they put the new price on there.
That in one of the city council meetings.
Yeah, they revised it, but what they didn't do is notify those people they sent the first application to. They didn't notify them of the update. So we turned in an old application. So then that weekend, I'm calling, and so we couldn't give it to anybody. And apparently there's a process where 3 people have to sign off on it. And in order to get 3 people to sign off on it, you got to get at least one person to answer the daggone phone. Right. And if one person answered the phone, then you could set up a meeting. But I've been calling ever since that day, and I've never gotten anyone to call me back or return a phone call or even respond to a request for a meeting. So I don't know how. I posted on my Facebook, how do you guys get anything done in Muskegon Heights? It's not professional. I'm disgusted.
Wow.
You know, I'm in the industry, you know, I get an opportunity from people that is not even here. So, you know, I have conversation with them, and the first thing they say, well, Marcus, your process harder than ours, and we're not even from your community.
Then
you know, it's crazy.
That's really sad, because you should be able to, especially if you're from Muskegon Heights, and if you're from Muskegon, period, you should be able to build within your own community first. We should all be sitting up here supporting one another instead of, you know, cutting this person out because, oh, they wasn't in my sorority or my fraternity. Because basically, to me, I'm sorry, I like to keep it real. I mean, if you ain't in certain circles around here, you don't get through. You don't pass go, and that's not right, because everybody should be granted that same opportunity to help improve our community. And if social equity is going to help improve our community, I don't see why they would not at least help push it through, you know, because that right there, if you getting all that money from an ex-con? Come on now.
So was the
And that's
revised copy more
that's one of the
original?
things that happens. Just like I'm working for Cloud Cannabis, I've been convicted of marijuana, been put in jail. I went to school, college. When I worked in the pharmaceutical industry for 20 plus years. Before I had to get my record expunged because of marijuana, my marijuana conviction. So that's
Mhm.
one of the things that a lot of people don't look at when they say, hey, we need to teach. You know how many people like me just don't know about social equity, don't know, and the Heights had the opportunity to do it right. They could have made it if they would have done the workshop, got more people involved, more of the people. That would even help for the fight. They had a fight to say yes. And if they would have shown our community that, okay, we have social equity, let's get, because everybody in the Heights could have got 25%. Everybody in the Heights was eligible for 25% of social equity. That's hands down. So if you would have did the workshop first, built the people would have come together, because you would have had people that had the money, had the resources, had the, come together, and we could have helped each other. And that what this can do for that whole community can make the whole Heights look different.
Yes.
much.
Yeah.
You
So
A
have
whole lot.
you have, the cannabis industry alone that created over 20 new jobs.
Mhm.
And they high paying jobs.
Mhm.
I sent Ursula a text today of a screenshot as I'm making money for this company. Ursula, did you get a chance to see that?
I did $100 and some $1,000 just that week, right?
1 week.
Yeah.
Selling weed.
We
Yeah.
make company, and we located in North Muskegon. We're not even we're not even in the city, but people from the city come to deal with us. They paying taxes. They come right from our community to come out there. We make
That's
over
crazy.
half a million in sales a month.
And I think that if not now, when? Because they're never going to give us anything. Okay, so this, for them to even build out a program to give back to those affected people, those impacted people, in an industry that could establish generational wealth. That's huge. That's huge. Why do we as Black people in leadership want to prevent the people in our community that look to us to guide them through? I mean, and I haven't seen much guidance that is supportive of progress. And so if I have to look at the city leaders and say, what have you done for your community lately? Like, what have you done? What parameters have you put in place to tear down some of the already implemented barriers that you've put in their way? What are you doing? I just don't understand how we as Black people are here in 2020 and we still have leaders that are patting their pockets and not caring about the community. Like I have not gotten into local politics because I've been a working woman my whole life and never had time. But now I am working at trying to make sure that people understand humanity is a responsibility for all of us. And so if it takes calling people out, if it takes holding people accountable, if it takes auditing people's process, and if it takes calling on advocacy throughout just within our own community, then that's what I have to do, because I feel like, I'm about to be 50. And we all have a purpose. And my purpose is not to just live on Facebook and have debates when I post, governmental politics on my page. But when I get to local politics, as I was telling you, Michelle, it gets quiet. It gets quiet. And I think it's because people just know, well, you ain't gonna fight them. You had the same inspector since the hills got dusty. You've got people that didn't even live here here, you have people that didn't even live here that come here, branch up, set up shop, and now they're going to tell the community how this community is going to get back in shape. But first, let's see what I can get.
Mm.
And if there's anything left up,
That's like we were. What's going on?
rising up, if we need to educate them, if we need to train new leadership. But the way that what I and the way even the city council meetings go, I'm not sure how anything gets pushed. I'm not sure how anything is completed. And certainly if the very one rule of returning a phone call doesn't get anybody's attention, I mean, I could make sense why the city looks and operates the way it does.
And can I say this?
Yes.
Listen to this. Let's go back to social equity. You know, the application is 2 pages. It's free. It takes you literally 10 minutes. The hardest thing to do is got to gather up the information. That's the hardest thing. Then it take you 3 days. They send you a number, and you get it in 3 to 7 days. And it's so easy. It's a 2-page application that's free.
And it's a separate application than applying for, a micro business or, applying to operate a business. The social equity piece of it is a totally separate application. And it's directly.
And when you fill that application out, you get a number. So when you apply for your license on a state level, you have that number. You put that number in it, and it automatically drop your fees down.
Oh.
So basically, teaching the social equity piece is first. It's what you need.
Absolutely necessary.
But see, they didn't teach nobody anything because, I mean, obviously the applications was already filled out ahead of time, and I heard it was only 8 of them anyway. That got passed through.
Yeah.
So,
and they had those 8 selected back. They had those 8 selected back in November. But remember, the application fee is non-refundable. So why tell people we already got the 8 people if we can get the rest of y'all money? So the good audit would be, good people out there, is to find out how many applications were submitted after those 8 people were, in their minds, selected. And then if you audit a little bit further back, you can see, well, when did those applications get submitted? Let's see how long ago those applications were submitted, and then you'll be able to find out, where.
This also be a question too, is that part of the ordinance is that those people that gets in the business have to get their application in. They have to be 41% owners.
51.
So I would ask the question that why the people that have social equity that's in the business, why they didn't tell the people? Why is just, I don't understand. I'm out here talking about social equity everywhere I go because it's people that don't look like got it. And social equity is gonna be huge. They had to hurry up and opt in this year because the funding start in January for social equity. So tons of money is about to come. There's going to be money for training programs that our people don't know about.
See,
and then listen to this. Go ahead.
No, I'll just go ahead. You go ahead.
The social equity started November. It was this. I think you could have got your application in. It started December of 2019. So now the downtown was going through the workshop. The state was coming here giving workshops. They was at the community college. They was at the library. They came 7 different times throughout the year. Nobody from the city of Muskegon Heights was even there. I called them.
See what I'm talking about? I mean,
I said,
a city of disinformation.
Of all the people that was on the list, why y'all not there? But the city of Muskegon was there. All the, my friends zoning manager for the Muskegon, which also does the zoning in Muskegon Heights. He was there. He knew all about it. They was at all the workshops. Nobody
So, you know,
Muskegon Heights was there.
Wow.
So I said, well, listen, the people, the state, the social equity team said, hey, Marcus, we want to come to where you say we need to go. Let me put you in contact with these people. I get told they bringing somebody from a different town, a different state to get them information about social equity.
But let them tell it, they always bringing people that's from Muskegon Heights to help out. Why you got to bring somebody that done left home when you got somebody already right here at home? See our struggles every day.
That's the same thing. Yeah, that's the same thing we were talking about with the Muskegon Heights investors. Buying up those 13 lots. What you talking about? So, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Come to find out, them investors from Indiana, 2 preachers.
Indiana.
Yes.
Why? What's in Indiana? I just want to know why. What brought their interest all the way to Muskegon Heights? So many cities in between.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that might be. I mean, I'm curious. Maybe other people might be curious, but there are so many conflicts of interests that I have seen occur in these last couple of months that I just think that integrity has to be on the ballot sometime, at some point.
Yes.
I'm not running for any political office, but I certainly would inspire people that genuinely have a love for Muskegon and Muskegon Heights to give back to your community, because your community leaders are not going to give back to you. That's evident. It's clear. Look at your roads. Look at your your lack of industry. Look at your torn down your buildings. It's just a very, my father owned the Shell's gas station there from the 70s to the 90s. Yes, he did. Albert Harris, God rest his soul. And back then, Muskegon Heights was a friendly place to be.
Yes, it was.
My elders were good, genuine, hard-working people, respected pillars in our community. And I went off to school and came back. I don't know what happened. I've never lived in Muskegon Heights. I didn't go to Muskegon Heights schools. I went to Mona Shores, but my people, the people that I loved, lived there.
Yeah.
And this was where my family, we flourished, in the 70s, when it wasn't common for a black man to be in that position to own his own flourishing business, especially an oil company, a gas station. But times have changed, and my ideas of trying to initiate progress in Muskegon Heights is never really, no one's ever really listened to those any of those suggestions, as it were. They always say, gather a proposal and submit it to us. But you can't, if you can't trust your leaders, you don't want to submit your ideas to them to use as their own. And so there's just got to be a way that we there's got to be a way that we bridge the gap between community and the leaders, because it should be intrusion. It should be us working together collaboratively, because this is our community, and we want to feel safe in our community, and we want to feel like we have a voice in our community. We've got people out here running around talking about Black Lives Matter, because they do. And they should matter to Black lives too. And that's one of my biggest concerns, is that Black Lives Matter have to matter to Black lives first.
Come on.
Then they will be mad. Then we'll show the world that we matter. But if we look at each other and we treat each other like we don't trust each other, we're not worth it. If your leaders if your leaders don't feel like you're worth the fight, get them out of office. Boot them out. I would picket. I would do whatever I need to do to let it be known. I don't know if they picket anymore, y'all. Are we in 2020? But
no, we don't picket no more.
one of the things
This is my second radio appearance, okay?
I think we have to be more transparent about all the information that we get, because I feel that it was people that knew about this and was keeping it to themselves. So one of the things is like, say for instance, those people that got in, they had to have a proposal of what they was gonna do for the community. Okay, and I guarantee you that proposal was good. But listen to this. Just think about this. First people that gets in is gonna be people that's qualified. So if you go to all these dispensaries right now, they're gonna say, Marcus, we don't have, why y'all not hiring our people from the community? They saying they not qualified, they don't have the training. So okay, these people gonna come into the Muskegon Heights, they gonna be first to make the money because they got to develop the training programs. They gotta bring their people in to train our people when we can do that ourselves. So if we would have just started with the social equity, it's a lot of help that these people would have got from the state. The state helped you with throughout the process with the business. They walk you, they give you a step plan, and they give you a checklist. You check out the list. These people answer the phone, just the state level. When I got information about the fees, I called Courtney. I said, Courtney from the state. She answered the phone at 4:45. What's going on, Marcus? Because we've been talking to her all day. And I told her, I said, this is what's going on in the city of Muskegon Heights. She said, what? Tell me, because I know you should be able to get in there. No,
right.
This is what they telling me. They have these fees. She said, well, Marcus, she said, well, Marcus, some cities do have fees, but some cities waive it or charge them a reduced rate. We get on the phone with a text and we text or email them. Ursula send them an email to amend the fees. He didn't even respond back.
Oh wait.
I just, and to further that, go ahead,
and so I talked to her that Monday and tell her the struggles that I'm having, and she's, the state, they gonna know what's going on here. So it's been documented because they want to make sure, because they me and said, Marcus, why you ain't in there? I have to report to them every Monday. And I'm telling them, these is my struggles. Can y'all help me? The cities, both of the cities, even Muskegon did the same thing. The Heights had the opportunity to do it right. They had the opportunity to do it right. They could have took care of us. But they gonna tell us when we see these faces. I'm curious to see who got in. But watch what happened when these new buildings get built. Watch who you see in there first.
Not us.
You got to bring those people in to train us when we have those skill set right here.
That's sad. That's really sad, because you gave outsiders. They preach so much about buying Black, keeping our community within our community, but you make it hard for those that can do something for our community to even help our community. That's I don't get it.
Well, that's because it just sounds good to say.
Yeah,
it sounds good to
correct.
say you're a humanitarian. It sounds good to say that you love the people and you're for a community, and but in the end, your actions are, if we were to call in question each and every person in that city leadership, what do they bring to the table? What are they doing for the community? What is their commitment of giving back? Because that's why else do you get into leadership in the community? What is your rationale for wanting to be a leader in the community? Is it the perks of getting the behind the scenes, persuasion? Is it having the title and people from everywhere coming at you proposing backdoor deals? Is it that? Or is it because you truly have a purpose and God has provisioned in your life a path where his people are your priority? Because if you go into Muskegon Heights and bring hope back into a very diminished economy, that city in itself could thrive on its own community. Yes. They could thrive on their own community if you put every type of business in Muskegon Heights and hired minorities. Muskegon Heights could service Muskegon Heights and fund itself properly within 3 years with a good financial plan. But who's come in with with these ideas. If you don't have a plan on how to fix it, then you just have a plan at building a career, at looking like you're doing something. And that's what I think people should be tired of. People should be tired of, we're talking about Donald Trump and his ways and the things that we don't agree with, but then we look within our local municipality and we see that there is a divide with how they even look at their own people. How do you see us?
Right.
Do you
That's
not
the real
see?
question.
Do you look at us like they look at us?
Right.
Or did you get to a point in your position where now you can judge and you realize you're not one of us anymore?
Ooh.
I mean, I didn't grow up in that community, but I still want to fight for that community. I went to college. I still want to fight for people who didn't go to college. Because why? Because we are learning in this last year, right?
Yes.
How the system set us up to fail from the beginning. Ever since racism ended, then what started the separation of Black unity, the separation of Black collaboration, the separation of Black encouragement and Black commitment to one another, because they pitted us against each other. And, oh, you're not educated, you're not like us. Oh, you don't live over here, so you're not like us. Oh, you don't, you haven't risen in stature, so you're not like us. The white people like us, they don't like you. You look a certain way, you don't drive this, you don't live there. All of those things that are really superficial in nature, but we're at a time where we're in an awakening. We're learning that white people realize they really, really did us wrong, y'all. They did us wrong. So if we don't make our leaders, if we don't hold them accountable for their lack of empathy for what the world is discovering has occurred to us through these years, if we don't hold them accountable, y'all, we're never going to, if we can't get past our people, we're never going to make it. We're never going to be able to get the banks to side. Banks are still going to judge us. The credit bureaus are still going to disparage us. We're still going to be set back because our own leaders don't want us to advance. And that's why I'm in this. That's why I'm so passionate about it. I'm done. I'm sorry.
No. Take your time.
I like to hear when people passionate like me. That is just a thrill. It does something to me.
Okay. Okay. Over here sweating like, huh?
That if we could just put a face and say, hey, we can change the way we do business. Now they making it legalized for young men like us, look like us, to actually be legitimate business owners. But the city, our own cities, won't even take the information that we need to help us get in the industry and say, okay, Marcus, what do you need? Okay, I understand you don't have money. That's the first thing they're gonna say, well, he don't have enough money to get in there. So you push me aside to the side. Why you ask Marcus, could you sit down with you? Let's find out how can we help you help us. If we start helping each other, asking those questions, I felt that, and I kept on saying we need to start with social equity. That would have made it easy to get it past the city council if they knew more about the social equity. So I understand why a lot of people were saying no, because they didn't know exactly how, because they figured out, well, only people was going to be able to get in it was big, deep pocket people, the corporations that was already here knocking on the door. You was there, you saw when it first came, the conversation came a year ago, how many people were sitting in there hanging on. You got people from Detroit.
Man, it was wall to wall in that city council meeting. It was wall to wall in there that day.
Company that's based out of Detroit. I told them my struggles. They said, okay, Marcus, what can I help you with? They asking me, what can I help you? I need to learn how to actually run a facility so I can show my people. So they put me in position to do that. Now, and it's crazy because when I sit down at the table and talk to them and tell them this story, they just shake their head because it was easier for them to get in it than it is for me.
That's crazy. So what can the community do to help you now? what can we do to help you to at least get something going for the Heights? What can we do?
Like what's next?
What's
What
Well,
what's
we need to develop we need to develop the workshop. Me and Ursula already got it ready. We need to start
Y'all
getting
can use
people
our platform any
planned.
day. Definitely can use our
Yeah,
platform. Pick a day.
and basically, well, we figured out a way around having to wait for the licensing through the city. And what we want to do is get his building back up to code so that we can start holding our workshops and start our training. Because at the beginning of the year, as Marcus said, the funding is going to be available. So we really want to just get up and train. But the biggest challenge, I care. I mean, not only, what's the saying, my people shall perish for lack of knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're so used to not having that knowledge. They're so used to being left out of the discussions that now we want to bring them into discussion about helping themselves, and they're already to like get their attention and say, this is not just us saying social equity, social justice. We want social a future. This is not a handout. It is a give back. Everybody has suffered enough. Everybody has. This was something that they used to exploit Black people, especially Black men. Black men were incarcerated and convicted at 77% were Black men. 4% were white people, and the rest were brown people and women. So it was a huge target. It's not that white people didn't, use marijuana. It was a target specifically for Black people. So it is a reparation specifically for. But like with anything, if you don't lose it, you lose it. So if you don't know it's there, then these big corporations can go and buy somebody with social equity up off the street, pay them a few $1,000s, put the name on a contract, and push them out the door. And here you still have the same big corporation setting up shop with a Black face on the front. And we have to stop that. And they can only do that with help, right? I mean, leadership has to put the provisions in place that say, no. What is Detroit doing? They're not doing nothing until we can carve out a way for Black people to have these businesses. I know what it says, but we need to carve out a way, a path for these Black people, these Black community members to start getting into the business. Otherwise, we're just kind of window shop. We're just window dressing it and making it look like it's for Black people, but really it's not. So we just have to change the narrative, and we have to make it, we have to force it. We have to stand up for it, and we're entitled to it.
Ursula said Detroit choose to opt out because the same thing that was going on here was going on in Detroit. So Detroit said, listen, we're not finna opt into recreation until we get more Black people in the business. So what they did is said, until you guys get these social equity people more involved, we're not opting in. So what they did is say, for every 3 properties that's owned by people that's not even from there, they have to go get somebody with social equity and get them 41% of the business.
Wow.
So now you can hide that easily, so doing that now. They hiding it, giving them 10 on the back, giving them 10 on the back end, but making it look like they got 41%. But okay. But Detroit at least took a stand and said, no, we're not doing it until we figure out how to get more Black people involved in it. It's articles that's wrote that from the state of Michigan estimated that we're going to do over $1 billion in taxation. That's what the revenue go come in to the state of Michigan in 3 more days. How many days we got before the end of this year? And $1 billion in sales.
Wow.
So this industry is so huge. And it's crazy because all the other people that not even from the community, look at Muskegon alone. You ask your question, you see that Bella Soul, where they from? You know, you have people that actually got involved now that's from here, but before the owner don't stay here. They don't live in this community. And I'm gonna give you a question even down when we go to fight for us to get into business in Muskegon alone. You know, me and Maxwell, we had an issue. Bella Soul wrote a letter to the city to tell them they should not let more business get in because it's gonna create competition from people that's not even from the community.
Oh wow.
Whoa.
So it's more knowing about this than our own people, and I just can't understand why we just how social equity is supposed to look. It's easy for them to say, okay, you know what, you took out of your income to try to get a building that's in the zone. They created a zone, and my facility is in the zone. Now I had the opportunity to bring people in where we can train we can train trimmers, we can train mud tenders, because if you go in these dispensaries, you barely even see us. Why are we not the experience? Okay, let's get our people to experience. We could have did that right. Get signed up for their social equity. Let's hurry up and get these people signed up. So whatever money that these people gonna be getting, we will get our fair share.
That's the point, is to get it widespread. You don't have to go in the cannabis business. Maybe you want to take your social equity and put it back into your home and your landscaping, and you want cannabis businesses have to 3% of their tax revenue goes towards social equity. It has to go towards a putting back into the community. So there should be a great deal of funds, if I'm not mistaken, Marcus, come January, just from that 3% tax revenue. Where those funds will go, we'll have to see. But I don't know how much for Muskegon Heights, because I don't know that they had more than one dispensary, Marcus. So they may not generate.
So Heights got a dispensary?
That's another.
Heights got
the Heights. Listen, the Heights. Yes, they do. They got on the medical side. They already granted license on the medical side.
Where?
They're in the Muskegon Heights. You have one that's on Glade Street. They haven't. One of the reasons, I don't know if you remember, Avi, you were there when one of the guys said we have our medical license. He was from Grand Rapids, and he said that his partners didn't want to put no money into the dispensary unless they got recreation, unless they were in the zone where they can do recreation business. So they didn't no money.
Yeah.
So there are people in Muskegon Heights that have medical license already and operating as a
over there by Mona Lake, I think it is.
Yeah, one there, right there, on the next door to the old
Denny's.
Red
Are you serious?
That's a dispensary.
That's a dispensary?
Yeah.
Get the mess
the guy
out.
that owned it,
and you know what? If we hadn't had this conversation, no one would know this. No one knows these type of things. And you know how many you know how many people got their medical marijuana cards? Do you know how much money? You know how many people don't like going across them tracks to go get their stuff, and they can be coming right here in the Heights? That's crazy.
And taking all that, and you paying taxes when you go across the tracks. You paying taxes to another city.
Yes.
So the Heights is
so that money could be coming to us, but y'all, I mean, if, like I said, if we hadn't been talking to you guys, we would have never known.
I ain't know. I didn't know.
And trust me, well, I'm pretty sure if we don't know, it's a whole lot of people that don't know.
So you just proved the point, huh? That's y'all
And
point.
that's what we do. This know about that. I know on the state level they concerned that it wasn't being transparent enough on their level. So they asking us, Marcus, and it's another guy that worked with me, his name Max McGuffey. And it's like, what do we need to help you guys get it out there? We need our people, we need your people to learn about it. So we goes to the city hall meetings and we say, hey, look, we have this information. You guys want to sit down and listen. The old chief that's no longer the chief of Muskegon Heights, he sat down
Thomas.
with me and I gave him the information. Actually, I took it to Troy. He asked me, did Troy know? I went in and gave Troy a big pamphlet of everything he needed to know about social equity. They copied it. I don't know if they took the information or did anything with it, but I was trying to get it there to him. And Walter Watts, the same way, I called him this whole through November all the way to this time. Call you later. I know he's busy, but I wanted to sit down with him and explain how important it is for our people to learn about social equity.
Wow.
People, because it's a lot of money that's going to be issued out. Last year alone, the Heights, just on the medical side, the Heights had $75,000 that in grant money for medical marijuana. But when if you sit in a meeting, they asked the question where that money went to. It said it was 75,000 was from just grant money dedicated for medical marijuana. So, and it was used up in lawyer fees. So what about this year? What about the money that's going to be given for recreation? So they had to opt in just to get any of that money, because the grant money goes to Muskegon County. So if you're not involved in it, only one city would get it. So that's how it works. So these people, to let these people know what's going on out here. This is the #1 growing business in the world, not just America, in the world. The city, the whole country of Canada that said we're going to legalize. It's about to happen on a federal level. You know why? Because the federal government won't they cut now.
Right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's already been approved, so it's federally approved.
Really?
Wow.
So what I can do for our people, when I say our people, Black people, I want, if they have any questions about social equity, I mean, we can schedule some time. We can sit down and help them get the application filled out. We can show them what they need to get in there, because it's gonna be a runaround, because it's easy as far as getting. If you have a marijuana conviction, all you have to do is go down to your city, go downtown, and get the actual conviction number, and resident, all you have to do is go to the light bill. You can get a copy for each year you stayed in the house. It don't matter if you moved around a lot. You just have to have a copy of an address stating that you stayed in that area for 1 year. If you was in another area that actually participated in social equity, you can use that one too. So it's easy. All you have to do is show proof of resident and show your marijuana conviction. And if you're a caregiver for the last 2 years, you just give them that caregiver license and you in. So it's a lot of guys out there and women that had marijuana conviction. It was people that get on probation in Muskegon and Muskegon Heights just for having a joint in the ashtray. You guys qualify for 5%. And you know what? And then they still sugarcoating it, because a lot of them people was put on probation and had to pay fees. So we still got beat down when it came to this. Now it's right here in our face, and they not letting us in. So we had a city like Muskegon Heights that could sit down and say, you know what? What do you need to make this work? How can we help you get in there? The state was helping me do everything. The city didn't even, we had to call why they just didn't say, you know what? Let's put this application out here. Let's show let's tell them. Because they told, I had to call them and it wasn't ready. I went in there the next day. They tell my partner that we're going to email it to you. But they never emailed us the revised copy. then we only got a short amount of time to get it in. We had to have it in by 5 o'clock, the December the 10th.
I think I
And
went
we
to
had
that
to
meeting when
make
they
an
talked about that too.
appointment to get
Yeah,
it
I
signed
remember
off
that meeting.
by
I definitely remember that meeting because, matter of fact, Miss Bonnie spoke up about that. She was like, "Well, what about the applicants?" Miss Bonnie and Kelly Kitchen, they spoke on that night. They asked, "What about the people that already had?" Matter of fact, it was Kelly because she said, "Well, what are we going to do about the people that have already put in applications, or the one before it is revised?" And because I took notes that night. I take notes in my city council meetings because I know I forget. So I write everything down. But I remember
I
that
do the same.
and Kelly Kitchen and Miss Bonnie actually spoke about that because when they talked about the revisions, they mentioned about the people that had already put in applications. So they knew that they had to get in contact with everyone to let them know.
Mhm.
So I remember that meeting and I have notes from that meeting.
They didn't do that.
I definitely
They
had
did
them.
not get in contact with us. Don't you think that they would have let us know that hey, and if you know that it's due on the 10th and we're not in the office, you're going to need to schedule days before. And oh, by the way, we don't answer our call. We don't return calls, so you might have to start planning 10 days before coming to the door and banging and making a scene and going live and going nuts. But outside of that, they were not, they made it absolutely difficult for us. And we're very competent. And I said, if you expect people in the community to be able to get all of this stuff done, I think it's an atrocity then if you took more than 8 applications then.
And
If you made 8 selections, you should have stopped taking applications if you knew members in your community can't afford to just give you $5,000.
in the state, the way they did it, their application fee is non-refundable, it's 6,000. But before you put it in, the social equity team is gonna make sure it's right before you put it in. They make sure that you get approved.
So you don't waste the money.
They don't
Ah.
want you to waste the money. So why is our city not doing the same thing? They you need that, and they give you unlimited times to meet with them. The city didn't do none of that. They give you 30 days. That's it. That's all they did. Then they didn't even tell you if they was go. They didn't even put that there. So when I called the state and told them, they was like, "Well, Marcus, we can't say anything about that, but a lot of cities waiving the application fee for the social equity participants."
And not to mention that because the city office was closed, we had to use the Dropbox. And I communicated, and I communicated immediately thereafter with the city manager, Troy Bell, letting him know that, oh, by the way, I just noticed, in the version that we turned in, the edits didn't come through. So let me send you a soft copy of the business plan. And he said, oh, absolutely, send it to me right away. Okay, I send it to him. So come Monday, I'm putting everybody in a group message like, okay, I got a couple questions. Want to know, how are we doing with the application? Did you submit my revised one? Does everybody have a copy? And when will you be making a decision? And half a day later, he replied, who this? Wrong phone. Like, like he absolutely acted like he had no idea what application. Okay.
She said,
what application I was talking about and who I was, what business, what business I was a part of, and then came back and was like, oh yeah, well you missed the deadline. And I'm like, well then why did you have me send you my updated information? And no, we didn't miss the deadline. We got it in on the 10th. He's like, well, you were supposed to call days before to set up an appointment. I said, well, we didn't know that. He's like, there's nothing I can do. I'm sorry.
Wow.
And that was it. That was all that effort, all that time,
all that money
was just kind of tossed aside. Like it was, yeah,
wow.
yeah, I'm hard. So
I
we
wonder
just
how
want to
many
get to a
more
point where
applicants got put in
Huh?
applications after that, you know, and I wonder how much
well,
money
I
was
know I
really
have the
generated.
distribution list. I know we have the distribution list of how many people got sent that application. That doesn't mean all of those people, submitted theirs.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's certainly way more than 8. Way
Oh,
more than
I'm pretty
8.
sure
But
it's
it
way
would
more than
definitely be
8.
an interesting, way more. We had already heard that it was way more than 8 after they had it would
Oh
was
yeah, you
already
know it
said
was.
that they had chosen their 8.
Wow.
So they were
So,
pre-selected then.
but to me, I mean, we're all in it. I feel that is just, that goes beyond. That goes beyond. We already have a suffering community. And then, so we're supposed to do, they keep the fee on, and then already know that out of all these applications, it's free money. We don't have to give it back. And on top of that, on the application, it says, and very small letters at the bottom, you also, by applying, you agree not to sue us for anything having to do with this application. So
now, do all of
that,
do
that
do all of cities have that that fine print at the bottom for all the applications, or is that just for Muskegon Heights?
No, that's just Muskegon Heights application. They're applicating what they have asked for. This is their application. All applications are not created equal. This is their application. So
I guess not.
All apps are not created equal.
Now, is it normal for someone in the marijuana industry for them to put "Don't sue me" on the bottom of it? Marcus, I guess that one's for you.
Marcus,
is it normal to have at the bottom of the fine print "Don't sue"? Is that normal for the marijuana industry for the application?
We can't. Oh, there we go.
No, well, to be honest, that was the first the city goes, because it's a little different with downtown. Downtown, you just had to be in a zone and you had to apply for your state license at that level, because as long as you was in the zone, you can operate there. They pick the zone, you get in that zone, then you apply for your license, and then you have the city come and do the inspection. Muskegon Heights had the difference was Muskegon didn't have no amount of numbers. The Heights did, because they small. So the Heights made you go through a whole different process. You don't have to do that with the city of Muskegon. You just have to get a building in the zone, apply through the state, bring that the application. Is how it was with the city of Muskegon. But with the Heights, they took it a little step forward. Well, what we was told was to help people like us to get in. But it didn't. It was really harder for us. So I'm not sure if that's what they wanted, because I mean, it would have been easier once we got that building. If we got to say that we can do business in that area, it wouldn't have been no problem for us to get the money to outfit that building. It wouldn't have been no problem for us to get the training to get our people the skill set that they need to do. If they don't come and work for us, they can also just go out in the field and work for other people that asking the questions, how can we supply the industry? And they telling them, well, we need skill set people. Where they go get the skill set? So that's what excuse that they using to get people in the industry in my facility, supposedly to train us. But we have people here that can do it.
Mm.
Wow.
And I think there are big entities that are already here that if we can't get support from leadership, we can use some of the bigger corporations, big dispensaries that are here, like, Cloud, and we can, implore upon them to help us get these organizations and these companies to comply with social equity and the benefit that it'll bring about for them, being a chain entity. So, if we can get buy-in from everyone, there's 3% of their tax revenue, but they can also dedicate more. Is that right, Marcus?
Yes, they can. Say that question. Ask that question again.
The revenue has to go back into the community, but can't they commit to doing more of a percentage back into the community through social equity?
Yes, they can. So I don't know. Like Cloud is actually doing community outreach where they actually donating money to certain causes. A lot of those businesses can be doing the same thing too. So it's all about the community that actually was impacted during the prohibition against marijuana. So Cloud is making an effort to actually like I started from day one. I came aboard 2 months before they even opened up the facility. So they came and found me. They found me. And asked me, Marcus, what do you need? And I was telling them, I've been a caregiver for 3 years. So I explained my situation and I told them exactly what I was looking for, and they was like, okay, come on aboard. So they gave me the opportunity to actually work inside of their facility, learn every aspect from the beginning to the end. Then there's a program out there that I had to learn on my own and pay to get this information or pay to go take class. It's called Seed to Sale. That's the program from the state of Michigan. And that's a whole program that we can be training our people to learn. Once you get that program done, once you get your certified and become a compliance manager, you could be making $80,000 to $100,000 in this industry.
Really?
There's
Whoa.
big money being made. There are building buildings as we speak.
And they've got positions that start $15 to $20 an hour for the receptionist, bud tenders, $20 to $25,
Really?
$20 to $23, operation managers, store managers. I mean, there are positions
And
that
full-time
could bring
positions.
a multitude of positions into the city of Muskegon Heights. Full time, enough for people to start taking care of their families again, restructuring the foundation of their families, being able to, home ownership is big for me. It's huge. People will start taking care of their things when it's theirs. But that perpetual renting, we have to stop paying somebody else to live in their stuff, because how many people do you know have lived in their home 20, 30, 40 years and they don't own it?
Right.
I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Yes.
You don't own it, but the more you could be done paying a mortgage in 15 years and you're in there. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. But we all know the barriers to getting loans, lending.
Yeah.
How many people want to lend in this disparaged area? And what's the income? What are the qualifying factors? We haven't even begun to dive into the science behind that credit report. Our credit report says we're Black. Somewhere in the coding, it says we're Black. So there's some disparaging going on. We just haven't figured it out yet. So yeah, that's what's important to me. It's just making sure that things are done in decency and order. And if we're given an opportunity, that we provide that opportunity for everybody. Some of us didn't have the same barriers as you and I were talking, Michelle. Some of us had a leg up. But if you were a 70s baby or an 80s baby, you went through it. And now it's a time for us to take back, you know, we Black people, we're an intelligent group of people. We are really brilliant in all our glory. And our glory from our ancestors was our unity, you know, and our ability to keep each other, give each other hope, you know, when our forefathers were slaves and out and wanting to quit and wanting to just give up, you know, it was the hope that kept people alive and gave people the inspiration to say, maybe I can get away, maybe I can, you know, maybe I can see next year, maybe I can see tomorrow. And that's all I'm saying in Muskegon Heights. When you see a problem, don't just let's not always identify the problem and there's a problem, they're the problem, Muskegon Heights is the problem, because it's not the city that's the problem, it's the leadership. Okay, because everything flows down from the top down. So it's the leadership. Let's address the leadership and stop blaming the community, because community doesn't have any control over any of the mandates or the bylaws or any of it. So why are we blaming the community? The community just has to deal with the effect of what our leaders do or do not do. And that's what needs to change. That's what needs to change.
Well, we so appreciate you guys coming on tonight and spreading this knowledge to Muskegon, and we are definitely going to make sure we get it out here to the community, because like I said, we didn't know what social equity was either until I met you guys. And and learning about it now and everything that we know now, it's like we really gonna push to make people understand what social equity is, so they can understand what we missing. I mean, and if they turned you down just because they thought you didn't have the money, that's wrong, because they don't know what your pocketbook look like. They don't know what your bank statement look like. Just because you don't own a big business don't mean you don't got money. You know, everybody that's in big business don't look like money, because everybody don't got to sit up here and showcase what they got.
You have to have a lot of partners. So they had conversations with other people, and you know, he gonna be able to make it because of he's not getting the proper partners, you know, because they, you know, like the company I work for, you know, it's 10 partners. You know, they built 2 new stores off of Muskegon. They got a store open up outside of Detroit that just opened up the end of last month. They got one in Traverse City that's opening up actually next week, you know, after the New Year. So
off Muskegon revenue.
That's
and
crazy.
you know, they come because Detroit was giving them a problem, so they came here. So now we training. So it's weird. We training people from Grand Rapids, from all over. Traverse City coming up here for us to train. You know, we giving them the skill set that we can be giving them our own people. We can be doing that training right in Muskegon Heights.
And
we can be go work for.
And while they're building out a narrative for that, I think it's important now that we're kind of, you know, at least getting some information out to the airways, that we build a narrative around social equity in a program that you guys on this podcast are able to, maybe there's a build out for a social equity program where it is just constant information, because there's going to be so much funding. There's going to be so many programs popping up here and there and here and there. And it's going to be information overload. Either people just shut down and shut it out. But if we can inspire by reminding them, this is not just an idea. This is not just something unattainable. This is, although they may unattainable to Marcus and I at that moment, it won't be that way always. And we're here to fight those barriers. We're here, we were the first round, and so we got beat up a little bit. Now we're going to make sure that we prepare. We know what needs to be done to prepare the community to educate themselves, because leadership doesn't, that's not on their agenda. So we'll put it on our agenda. So if we have to come to the radio once a week and social equity time, okay, here's the update on social equity. Here's what's available. Here's what we're willing to do. Here's the programs that are available this coming up week. If we do that, Mark, we were trying to open up a cannabis consumption lounge. Okay, where people can come in and get their cannabis and sit around and smoke and, relax, relate, and retreat. And that's what we wanted. Just a very lax environment, just everybody just pooling together. And then Marcus and I had a plan of giving back our social equity to the police department, sending several recruits to training. Okay, since we haven't had a new recruit funded by Muskegon Heights in over 20 years, we offered that. We want to give back, we want to build a rec center. We want to rebuild the downtown area. We need to take pride in ownership. We want people to take pride in where they live, but we can't take pride as leaders in our community. That's your backyard. You know what I'm saying? So we need to inspire those vacant lots.
Ooh, girl.
They did send one cadet?
Yeah, they did send one cadet. He went 3 times though.
When?
This year.
Oh.
Okay. Because when we got our information, the last person that went through the program, he said
he's saying that he was funded by Muskegon Heights. These other people may have been funded by Muskegon.
This one was funded by Muskegon Heights. Yeah, this last guy.
Really? He just told us this like last month, didn't he?
Yeah, it's a younger guy. I know. Yeah, I know.
You talking about? You know who I'm talking about? And he had to take his test like 3 times.
Yeah.
So
was he even a resident?
I'm not sure. I was security for me.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what we were. So we wanted to give back. Okay, is the point. We don't want to pay 3 times over. 1 time is good enough for us. But we want to make sure that we inspire people from the community to come in and want to protect their community. People respect who they know, or they feel safe with who they know. So we need more police officers. We really just need to band together. You good people that are out there, we just need to bring y'all together, because it just doesn't seem like there's enough people that care. Because you can look at Muskegon and you can blame people for shutting it out, but how about what is our responsibility? Our responsibility is, because we know they're going to do that, is to strategize on how we get that information. What is it that they're into that we can get their attention so that they can get into this? Because self-preservation, self-progress, if we can inspire that, each one of us having the desire to do better and to be better. And it starts at the community level. It's not one person, not one leader. It's all of us.
All of them. I totally agree. And you can't. They have to all be on one level in order for our community to even prosper. And right now, our city council isn't even on one level. Not for real. Right now, what they got is well, I'm gonna be nice. They're not even on one level right now.
But how difficult, but just imagine how difficult, how difficult it would be if you were on the city council and you had to deal with that. It takes more than one voice.
Yes. It does. It would be very
your
difficult.
Voice is probably one of the voices that needs to be up there, chiming for the people in the community, because I promise you, if you run, we will support you. We will make sure that you get in. There is no doubt about that. So just putting that out there in the universe, y'all.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
You're
very
welcome.
much.
You know, people going around nominating people for pro and you know that, but yeah.
Man, come on.
Man.
Mhm.
Well,
So I thought I'd nominate my own lady right here.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, that's ooh-wee. Yeah, that was something different. That was very something different, but yeah, very interesting. They do that. It
Yes,
does need to
ma'am.
be
Yes,
shook up a
ma'am.
lot. Our council does need to be shook up by people in the community that do care and want to see positive change. I'm not saying that, don't get me wrong. You know, people say, Michelle, why you always turning down everything? I'm not turning down the ideas. I think some of the ideas are wonderful ideas. I just think there's not enough
Too many chiefs, not enough
yeah, too many
Indians.
chiefs and not enough Indians behind the ideas to make to to make the ideas actually have a greater impact within our community. I feel like if everybody was on one accord up there and really out for the community, then our community would have been flourished a long time ago. And we as residents, we've sat back for so long and say, well, oh, okay, well, they doing a good job because they know this and they know that. Well, in reality, some of them don't know nothing that's sitting up there. They read out of a book. They don't even pay, they're just
They read the
learning,
book.
just like we're learning. You know, somebody told me politics is a learning experience every day. You know,
Non-stop.
it's a nonstop experience. And if you don't really have the passion for your community, you're not going to fix your community, you know, just like me and you was discussing earlier today. So yeah, our city council needs a lot of work.
And you don't even have to have the passion, like you don't even have to be from the community to have the passion for the community. You just have to be an empathetic person. You have to
Yep.
just care about humanity. And you
Mhm.
don't, you know, just because my family isn't impacted, just because my family hasn't had the same challenges, doesn't mean I don't have the empathy for that community and that I don't have a role to play. Because
Yes.
if you have a voice and you don't use it, you're responsible for that lack of
Yes.
education that your tongue was supposed to produce. So
And
I
it's
feel
crazy.
we all owe one another.
We sat up
We
here and
all one another. It's like the knowledge.
our ancestors fought for us to speak up, especially women, for so long. And for us to sit here and be silenced by our own people, that's the sad part. You know, we feel like our voices don't matter. You know, so we go vote for the popular. Oh well, they're popular. We didn't see their name on TV, so that's who we gonna vote for. Everybody else voting for this person, so we gonna vote for them. Okay, then nothing will ever change. Nothing. And people like you and Marcus that are trying to do something good for the community, it'll never happen because you don't have people that have that generally want to see positive change. You know, they want change just as long enough to say, oh, okay, well,
Well, it's
yeah, they
benefiting
made,
them.
yeah, I made this happen.
I
Like,
did this. I
right, just
did
like
this. It's kind of
those
self
13
gratification.
homes, you know, those 13 homes, when I know for a fact that it's one of those homes is being developed and put up and built by a man and his whole family. You know, they're going to
From
live in that
property from
homes.
lots.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so they're trying to
Mhm.
make it seem like that these businesses, these two reverends that's from Indiana, and one of them grew up here supposedly, and no one would ever known that if Flint Journal hadn't put it out. That's how I found out, because everybody was looking to try to find out who Muskegon Heights LLC is. Well, that's who Muskegon Heights LLC is. And I'm pretty sure it's some more members
Like,
of the.
were you there when Bonnie asked that?
Yes, I was there when Bonnie asked that. So now I know who Muskegon Heights LLC is, because reporters, that's what they do. They're going to find out information. And
They are. Then I should be an honorary reporter.
I
miss my call because I feel like I
man,
I feel like, oh, I got challenged. I said, well, what is this all about? I wonder
yeah, and Miss Bonnie,
why,
she did. She brought that
but
up.
it
She's like,
is
who is Muskegon
true.
Heights LLC?
Why do you do buyer? Mm-hmm.
It's
Why do you
crazy.
come up with a buyer, but there's not a list of buyers that you have to choose from? Normally, if a company is going to choose a product, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have a selection of companies, entities that produce that product to choose from. One for price and two for quality, right? So you're going to try all much the product costs, right? And if you only have one individual that you consider, and so that was what Bonnie was saying was, well, who else who else did you give consideration to?
Yeah.
Well, no one. Well, why not?
Well, one of the guys, I think I know one of the guys from Indiana because he had property in downtown too. So, but this is the thing that we need to actually understand. Social equity is not going to go nowhere. It's just going to get bigger because they actually revamping the program because we going federal. So guess what? The federal government is going to offer us. So we need to make sure that we get our people in the Muskegon Heights and Muskegon set up to get it. If they have, they're gonna be able to put down payments on their house, build a house, or refix their house, or even educate themselves. We need, this is the way to educate our people in a new dominating industry. When I say dominate, this industry is so big and it's have help. You know what? Let's let these people in because they got the money, they got the backing. Who is they backing? I know a lot of people that talks and have information about the industry, but they don't have a clue and work for this company every day. I learn inside and out. I'm a caregiver. I've been growing my own product for years. So, and also, you know, I've been in the pharmaceutical field. So, you know, the compliance piece is a major piece to have. So the skills that I have that I can give to our people, I can give a lot of like to hear, oh, we can utilize that money for other things. They building a committee right now just to show on a federal level with all these different cities that's already into or have information about social equity, and they about to change it as we speak. They figuring out what we finna do to give more to the people that has been put in costs have been removed because of what was going on during the prohibition of marijuana. So why did the Heights say took the we do this? Let's make sure that we have people in place that should be getting social equity, get their social equity before we put the ordinance together. Because it's gonna be money for coming into this city in the next month. I haven't got signed up for social equity.
So there you have it. We need to get the word out. We need to not make it a mundane task for people to, you know, we're not knocking on the door with a, you know, flyer telling you about Jesus. We are actually letting you know, like, all of our benefit that you know it, that you know it. I'm going to max out my opportunity if you don't make you all the tools necessary, educating you, training you, and making sure those who want to start businesses, we can walk you from start to finish. Okay, that's what we can do. We can offer our expertise to the community as a way to encourage them to get in on rejuvenating their life in their community. That's the bottom line.
That's what they need.
Okay. Well, we thank you guys for your time. We really enjoyed talking to y'all.
Definitely.
Learned a lot. Is it now? Do y'all got like
Thank
any
you. You
contact
guys were
info?
so much fun. This was easy.
I bet.
We try to make it comfortable as possible for everybody. We just want you guys to be able to come on here and talk and
Like you say, make it easy and
educate,
relax and educate.
just
Yeah.
educate. We don't want anybody to come on our show to feel like they
Gotta be
pressured,
politically correct. Speak
none
your
of that.
mind.
We want you to speak your mind, because that's what community wants. They want to see that transparency. They want to see that realness. And if we can put out a show that give our community the truth about what's really going on, I think they can understand that and respect that and appreciate that. I know for sure that it's going to be a lot of people, and I know a lot of people out here with records and everything, especially weed records, that got money, that would love to invest, in Muskegon Heights. They always asking, what can we do? What can we do? And for you to sit up there and just shut them out, that's totally wrong.
And then too, you got people that had prior cases that's still a little skeptical to get in the cannabis industry too, because they still,
Yeah.
they still a little skeptical because they done
You're
time behind
traumatized.
Mm-hmm. And if they were educated that they don't have to be scared, and this is actually beneficial to you and your community at the same time, then I'm pretty sure that it would be a lot more people willing to get involved and to invest.
Mm-hmm.
And see, like me, you was talking about social equity. I wanted to get in the cannabis industry, but I don't want to sell because I have other things in life that I want to do. You know what I'm saying? But I wouldn't mind being a behind the scene person and, making some money, too, because that's a good industry to be in right now. So why not want to capitalize on it?
Yeah. Yep.
So, and I would have never known that if I hadn't talked to you guys. So yeah,
but we have a lot of nurses and stuff. We have a lot of nurses that we deal with. We have a lot of doctors that know about it. We have a lot of kids that actually need cannabis. They pushing off different meds from kids, and they're unhealthy. Cannabis is one of the healthiest medicines that's out there. A lot of people don't know about that, and that's educating in itself. We have oils, we have pain relievers, we have body rubs, and they don't do no harm to the body. So, that education alone could be beneficial to a lot of our older people that have arthritis, that want to get off the narcos.
Man.
That,
and see, I don't like taking pills.
All the pain stuff that's happening, help killing themselves, killing their liver, their kidney.
Mm-hmm. So once again, y'all.
You don't like cannabis?
Who?
What'd she say?
That's I didn't hear you guys faded off for a minute. I thought she said she didn't like it. I was like, you don't like what?
Oh, no, I didn't say that.
So maybe we just didn't hear it.
You trying to get me in trouble on this thing, girl.
What did she say? Okay.
I didn't say I didn't like cannabis. I just said I want to be behind the scenes.
Yeah. But what's exciting is that we're working with Muskegon too. So, all the changes. See, Muskegon, we've been pushing and pushing and pushing for them to come up with this subcommittee for social equity. And I think, what's the old Muskegon Heights city manager? Jack?
Jake.
What's his
Jake.
name?
Yeah,
Jake.
Now, don't you see what he's doing
State Farm.
downtown?
Yeah.
Jake
So he just got an award yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I saw
Really?
that.
He got an
He
award
did.
for economic. Yeah, he's creating this subcommittee for social equity. So it's going to be, it's going to constantly be on the airways. Once educated, that's when the swarm will come. People will be fighting trying to get to the door, like, wait a minute, what did they say? Because there's going to be so many different programs that are going to branch out because of this. And I just think it's a wonderful opportunity. I think, you don't have to sell cannabis, but being like Marcus said, a lot of these dispensaries have, 8, 10, 15 partners. Because it takes that much. It takes that amount of power to leverage funding. All of them together have to bring funding capability that they leverage to be able to handle such a large and there's supposed to be funding in place come January where we can walk people through the process, and the funding part won't be the barrier anymore. And hopefully we'll get there soon. Hopefully, it's not too far into January, but that's where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Well, we would
So
definitely
I'd love to
keep
come
us
back.
updated.
I would
Yes,
love to
I
come
was
back.
just getting ready to say, definitely keep us updated with any new news, and
I'm
we
invite
could definitely
myself.
get it out. Yep. So as soon as it comes out, let me know, and you get the information, and we'll set up another time and a day to get it out there. We definitely will do that. Definitely. So, and make sure you guys let us know if you get your phone calls back.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. We appreciate you guys.
Oh yeah, we're not holding our breath on those phone calls, sister.
All right.
All right, you guys. Thank you. You guys have a wonderful night.
That's out the picture. You too. Bye, guys.
All right.